Hey everybody, it's Cindy with The Pulse. Welcome to my first Wine Wednesdays. I'm so excited to bring this show to you. I have a fabulous guest today, my first guest, Windus Fernandez-Brincourt from Trilogy Financial.
Yay!
How are you?
Awesome.
I'm so excited when you said you were going to be my first guest. I love you.
I'm honored to be your first guest.
So Windus and I mean, she's a senior vice president at Trilogy Financial Services. She's my financial planner. She's my friend. We go back though. We knew each other in the corporate world when I was at Paychex. How did we meet? I was trying to figure that out.
One of your coworkers, Rachel, invited me to another networking event that you guys were co-hosting, and that's how we met.
That's right. So that was a long time ago. So
12 years ago.
12 years
Seriously.
ago. The thing that I love about Windus too is I was drawn to her at first. I'm like, wow, she's kind of buttoned up. She's pretty reserved. And then you get to know her and she is like...
the truck driver mouth rolls out.
she curses like a truck driver. Girl after my own heart. So I loved her. And I really wanted to sit down with you because you and I keep it real. It's always authentic. When we do our financial planning, we drink lots of wine.
Better that way.
So I just really wanted to bring you on. Plus, you've been through so much. We have a lot of similarities in our families and things like that that have happened to us. So I really appreciate you being here. So before we get started into the questions, let's talk a little bit about Trilogy. What's your role?
So my role is kind of twofold. So I run my own wealth advisory practice at Trilogy Financial Services, where I have a team and we serve clients and we help clients achieve their goals. And then on the flip side, my second role is to run the region. So not just empowering the advisors on my team, but helping empower the advisors in the region build their own wealth advisory practices, their teams, and support the new reps that are coming into our region.
Well, and I have to start out with, is it a shit show? Because I mean, honestly, being in the financial planning business can't be easy because a lot of people have so many issues, their financial struggles, the market. I mean,
it's money.
Like?
It's money. So money is a trigger point for a lot of people. People feel insecure about how they deal with it, how they spend it. So we try to create an empowering environment where we help them understand where they can spend, give them permission to spend, help devise plans of attack to get them to their goals so that they feel a little bit less anxiety about their money.
Well, and do you ever have days where you're just like, I can't put this together today? Like, I just can't deal with this financial mess.
It's really more of like days I just don't know how I'm going to survive all the ebb and flow of everything that comes, because it's between helping the reps and then the clients, it's just an interesting, there's a lot of hats to wear.
Yes. Well, and I have to ask you because it's a very male-dominated industry. So obviously the viewers are probably interested. I worked in the corporate world, lots of men, boiler room. I mean, you've seen it. How has it been being in that kind of industry? Have you had struggles with that?
You know, it's a good question because I think that, so I've been with Trilogy I'm starting my 15th year here, and there have been, at least 3 to 4 years where I think I was the only female in the region, and I don't tend to think about gender as an issue because most of the time my job is to work with my clients and my income is based off of the clients I serve, not set by the company. So it's not like there's an income disparity between me and my coworkers. But where I have noticed some challenges is I think early on in my practice, like when I got married, I had some interesting things said to me that I now realize, like, women deal with challenges in the workplace around, when they get pregnant, when they're going to have a family, and how they might be treated around these topics.
Right.
So,
and they used to ask those questions, which I think is interesting in interviews.
Right.
Like, are you planning on getting married? And you can't ask those questions anymore.
Well, right, and really it's interesting because, as someone who runs a region, even on our management calls, we still deal with we've got maternity leave, and how do we deal with that, and how do we plan for that? But we deal with it from more of a lean and support place now than in the past when I think I was a new rep, when it was like, oh, they might not come back, and that's scary.
Well, yeah, and I mean, I think sexual harassment, I've run into situations when I was at Paychex where I had accountants and CPAs, and they were my bread and butter, and they gave me a lot of business. And I had certain situations where I was, talked down to, or I had one accountant that was like, I want to get you a boob job. Oh, are you wearing underwear? It got pretty intense. So I just thought with you, did you ever run into anything like that?
Great question. No. Really, the only thing that I dealt with that was very sad for me was when I got married. I can remember my boss saying that he wasn't going to spend time training me because I'm worthless to him now because I'm just going to have children.
Oh my gosh.
And probably not come back to work.
Whoa.
And so I never dealt with it oh no, that's not true. Yeah, there was that one work party where I had to report one of my coworkers. Yes, and that's been
Did
an
they drink a
awkward
little
thing.
too much, or?
Well, it's funny you say that. Yes, they did drink too much, and they had had a habit of doing that. And when someone grabs your ass and asks if you're wearing underwear, and your husband's only like a few steps behind, and like my husband's not that nice or patient of a man, it puts you in a really challenging situation. And when I reported him, then when another coworker went to give me a hug, he said, "Oh, you shouldn't hug Windus. She'll
then
report
you deal with all
for
that.
Sexual harassment." It's like that retaliation. That's a real thing. It really does happen. But like that coworker, we're friends. We've mended ways. He stopped drinking when he comes to company events, and everything is great now. It was just a drinking issue as we're drinking.
As we're drinking, it's okay. Drink lots of wine. It's Wine Wednesday. So I know how busy you are. You're a financial planner. You are married. You have 2 kids. We're going to dive into that in a second. But I want everyone to know you're like Beyonce. I mean, you do more shit before 5 o'clock in the morning than anyone I know. So talk to us about a typical day for you.
So it's so funny you ask this now, because I think my typical day is shifting. So about a month ago, my typical day involved working out and meditating and everything before work. And after taking a big camping trip, I've had a hard time setting the reset button on that. So to be honest, it's like we get into these patterns, and it's easy to continue a pattern. But I had some disruption in my patterns. So now I just get up at 4:30 in the morning and head straight to the office by 5 a.m. And I spend the first hour of my day trying to roll through emails. Then clients know that I'm in, so I'll start taking calls at about 6, and then the day goes from there. Sometimes I have my first meeting at 6 a.m. It's chaos.
Oh my!
It's like organized chaos. So it's not chaos in a bad way, but I get a lot done, and one of the ways is I start early to get a lot done.
But then you also balance with workouts and surfing and family time, right?
So like I had a cancellation last night, and instead of staying at work to answer emails, I checked out, went home, and went to the beach with the family. So it's like, it's that juggle.
Well, and what's your happy place? I mean, for me, obviously, you all know it is wine, or it's boxing it out. I love to box. I say I don't dump on people, I box.
I like that.
But I mean, for you, like, what's your happy place? Like, where do you go for that centering?
Well, I have a little hammock chair on the front porch of my house, so you might find me asleep there on the weekend. My happy place is really being with the family and doing things that I believe the kids are going to look back on when they're older and have positive memories. So we'll go out hiking together, we'll go to the nighttime zoo together, we make time for Legoland. So right now my happy place is the memories that I can create for my children.
So your favorite thing to do in San Diego with the family, what would that be?
Ooh, maybe dragging them, kicking and screaming on a hike at Annie's Trail in Solana Beach.
I love Annie's Trail. We did that, and we got the dog stuck. I think I told you because there's
not
a ladder. So literally,
I don't take my dogs for that reason. I have 2 dogs. They've never done Annie's Trail for that reason. So I don't think they can get up the ladder.
Note to Annie's Trail. The
No
difficult
dogs.
part, there's a little ladder.
Well,
so
I've taken friends who got like
dogs.
claustrophobic up there, but my kids love it. It's about a 3-mile round trip trek, and we have a lot of fun hiking it. And because I've taught the kids to hike, when we went on vacation, like my kids, 6 and 7, can hike 7 miles and summit 2,000 feet in a hike, and that's
pretty cool.
That is my happy place, that I've taught them something that can bring zen and peace and exercise into your life.
Well, and she's done Machu Picchu. I mean, you've hiked a lot of great spots.
Yes.
It's pretty cool. And maybe some dysentery happened in some of the...
Yeah, good travel stories.
That's for the next episode. So I want to ask you a few other things. Let's kind of dive into the kids. So you have been through a lot of struggles. I mean, when it comes to being an entrepreneur, everybody, we were talking about social media. People post all the best stuff, right? People think everyone has this great life. They don't realize that you can be successful, but you can have a lot of struggles.
A lot of struggles, yeah.
And you and I have talked about this before. So your husband, Kurt, I mean, you went through cancer with him.
Yeah, we've tackled a lot of different random health issues. So, Kurt had cancer, and that was big. And then after cancer, he had all these other issues, like, he's on track to have a heart attack, and we had to make a lot of life changes. And then, with both kids, we've had interesting issues, and I think we've just taken one step at a time.
Well, I want to talk about the kids because you adopted them. So Bradley and Eloise, I think, 3 weeks and 8 weeks you got them?
3 weeks and 5 weeks.
And 5 weeks. Wow. So let's talk about that, because adoption, I mean, that was a blessing for you. You're Cuban descent. The kids are Cuban. So
yes.
I love that. It all kind of worked out.
It does. Except for that I'm Cuban and Caucasian, and they're like Cuban, Mexican, and Caucasian. So they're still so much darker than me. It's really funny how people react to us as a family. And given that we just had a long road trip, it was funny to hear some of the comments, because they're getting older and it's different.
Well, and you've been through a lot with the adoption process. I mean, will you talk to us a little bit about that?
Yeah, actually, I would say that the adoption process was very easy for us. So we registered in April, and after taking all the lessons at the county, so we fostered to adopt, so that's a different program. Some people privately adopt. We went through the state program, and after 6 months of lessons and studying and what have you, we got onto their list, and then within 3 weeks we had a baby. So many people have challenges that are far greater than ours in adoption. It just felt like it was the right place and right time for us.
But they're brother and sister, which is so cool.
And that's actually because the state has an obligation in many respects to pair siblings with siblings. And even though Bradley's not the first born in this group of siblings, because we'd had Bradley, they offered Eloise to us first instead of the other two families, because they wanted to try to keep these two together, and it was perfect.
But it was in a quick amount of time.
Yeah, 11 months apart. Like when they called me and said, there's another, I was like, no, I'm not ready.
That's so exciting, but I know you've struggled, so I guess what I want, do you have any advice maybe you could give the viewers where it's like, okay, yes, I mean, I love how successful you are because you're not half-assed in anything that you do. Everything's 190%. You're so successful, you've built a career, but yet you still have the family, you still have the struggles. I mean, is there anything that you could tell the viewers?
My personality, I'm very geared to drive, so I drive for success, right? And one thing I do is I kind of like open it up to see what's going to come my direction. So what really worked for us when we were adopting was I didn't want to create my image of what a perfect child looked like. I just said, you know what, we're open for a family. What does that look like? So when it came down to answering questions on our adoption survey, we answered really openly, and then we ended up with the right family. So it's about being open to what the universe is going to bring to you.
I love that. Well, and would you say, was there a moment that helped define you in your life? Was there something, an experience that got to drive you to where you are? Because I remember in my life, I used to play sports and my parents they worked, so they never came to any of my games. And I would be playing basketball, playing field hockey, and I would look out there in the bleachers and they wouldn't be there, and everybody else's parents would be there, and I'd be so upset about it. But what it ended up doing is it created an internal fire for me and a motivation where I didn't need anybody else. So it kind of created a monster in a way.
I have one of those defining moments, and it may sound more negative than it needs to be. But, when I first started at Trilogy, I was like that little hippie girl you're trying to pull out of OB. And we've talked about that.
Third generation California.
Right. So, I just wanted to surf and go hiking, and, I wasn't particularly motivated to make money. And this industry...
The hippie girl is now a financial planner.
That's right. And so I had continued along this path when I started working at Trilogy. I'll build a practice when it comes, no big deal. But then when Kurt got sick, it was different. So when Kurt was diagnosed with cancer, I was a couple months off of a significant promotion at Trilogy. And he got sick, which was really inconvenient in the fourth quarter of the year, right? Because you know what that's like when you're trying to make numbers for a company. And I missed my numbers for the promotion by 1,500.
Oh my gosh.
And, while Kurt was in the hospital, I would leave while he was trying to recover, and I'd go see a client for 2 hours and I'd go back. So I was trying to prop up our family life and pay our mortgage and make things happen. And when I got to the end of the year and I was only 1,500 short, I thought, oh God, they'll for sure give it to me. Look at everything I did. And they said, you make it or you don't.
Wow.
Black and white. And that was a really defining moment for me, because it made me realize that there are things in life that are like that, and I didn't make it, and I was short, and I might have been short for what are very justifiable reasons, but they were right. If I was going to be good enough for that promotion, I would make it the next year, and I did, and it was fine. But that helped that honed my focus in a way that I had never been focused before.
And you never turned back after that?
Nope, that was it.
That is so cool. So I think we need another pour. Let's talk to Lisa, owner of Koi Zen. Hi, Lisa.
Hi, Cindy. How are you?
Good, thanks for having us.
Good. So you'd like some more Chardonnay?
I would love some.
So this is a 2016 Chardonnay, California Chardonnay. And that just simply means, when it just says California, that the grapes are from two different places. So you have Santa Barbara fruit and you have some San Joaquin Valley fruit in this. Nice melon, little apple, little pear. Delicious on a hot day.
Obsessed with her Chardonnay. Thank you so much.
All right. And And you would like
The-
Viognier?
yes.
All right, so we have this. This one is a new release for us. It's a 2016. The grapes are from Santa Ynez, which is around Santa Barbara area. So this one, little tropical notes, pineapple, mango, light, crisp, refreshing.
And it's
hot
pink.
Day.
It's like pink
Got a little bit of pink.
I think
to
it's
it.
pink because we're pink.
Here you go.
Thank you.
Thank you. Cheers. Cheers. So we've had our pour. We're excited to get on to the next question. So my question for you is, what are your non-negotiables? So the last year for me, I kind of decided I needed to print my non-negotiables out, things that I just didn't want to move on or negotiate on. So I print mine out. So I have a reminder every day.
I like that.
And so I'm going to read you mine, and then I would like for you to share yours. So mine are, I know my worth, add tax to it. My priority is my business. Do not get distracted. If I am not jumping up and down, it's a no. I'm CEO, bitch. I'm CEO, bitch. No trade, been there, done that. So those are mine. What are yours?
So I recently went through an exercise with a guy named Yoram who helped me understand what my non-negotiables are. They're not as awesome as yours, I'll be honest. But what I realized is I have these triggers that make me flatline. Like when you breach these boundaries, it's a no-go. So I am 100%, everything has to be about empowering people. The second I feel like you're not empowering someone, it's over with. We can't talk, I can't deal, it's done. And the vast majority of my job is about empowering people to make good decisions with their money. So I understand that. It's at the core of my being. The second is honesty. The second I feel like you haven't been forthright with me, that there was a double game being played, it's done. Can't go forward. And compassion. Compassion is just something that, you know what, I haven't walked a mile in your shoes, you haven't walked a mile in mine, so it's about giving each other the space to understand where our boundaries are. I drive hard, I'm very dominant, not everyone drives to my level.
Right.
And I desperately try to not expect that out of anyone. So it's trying to have that compassion to understand where someone else is coming from.
Well, and I feel like now, especially with social media, nobody has boundaries. I mean, I notice it, I'll post something and then somebody will text me at 6 a.m. because they think that I'm on social media, and I feel like there's just boundaries, or it's you get a text and it's 15 texts from someone, that drives you
I haven't done
bonkers.
that.
I feel like you have to have those non-negotiables, because if you don't have them, you don't set those boundaries. And then you're more trying to please everybody else and not take care of yourself.
Yep. So I have the three things that are my core: empowerment, honesty, and compassion.
I love that. Okay, so I have some funny questions for you now.
All right,
I want to
I'm in.
do some funny stuff. So tell people something that they would be very surprised about you, something that people don't know about you, that they would just go, oh my gosh, I had no idea, if they were to learn that about you.
I am an avid traveler, but I don't know that people understand how neurotic I am about my travel. I've been to every country in Central America, and I'm going to continue my way through South America, and then maybe when I'm done, I'll expand my horizons. Now, it's not to say that I haven't been to Europe or that I haven't been to Asia, but it's a way of being for
It's
me.
conquering. I'm going to conquer
I'm
the
neurotic in my
entire-
personal life. I'm also or in my business life, I'm also very neurotic in my personal life.
That's so cool.
And I don't know that everyone understands how much Kurt and I just love to hike.
Yeah, you guys are world travelers. I mean, I think people would be surprised to know I used to deliver pizza for Domino's Pizza.
Oh my God, I love that.
Is that funny?
That's awesome.
I was a Domino's pizza delivery girl, and one time I got $100 tip because people get drunk and they're deliver pizza and they give you $100, so it's fabulous.
That's amazing. I didn't know that.
Which is something fun. I love that about you. So, what is the craziest thing that you've done, would you say?
It's a good question. Probably abandoned my husband in a foreign country for my own goals. Yeah, he was sacrificable. He was sick, sent him back to the hotel, kept hiking without him.
She's like, I got a hike to do. I'm so sorry you're sick, but I need to get on with my hike.
I don't recommend ever abandoning your spouse in a foreign country. That has definitely not been a positive decision that I ever made, but that's the craziest thing I've ever done, because most spouses were like, oh, they're sick, I'll take care of them. I was like, oh, you're
I'll
sick?
cancel everything.
Peace out. We traveled a long way for this trip.
But he gets you enough to respect that you wanted to get your
He
hike on.
told me to go on.
And That's why
He
they're
married me knowing what he married.
Okay, so final question. I know we have to wrap up, but who is your celebrity crush? Do you have one?
That's a good question. Daniel Craig. Yeah, that didn't take long. I'm a huge James Bond fan.
I love James Bond.
Huge James Bond fan.
My dad and
I
I-
watched every single one of them.
Me
I
too.
own every single one of them. And when Daniel Craig became James Bond, I was like, oh,
So he's your favorite one. Was he your favorite
well,
James
he's my
Bond?
cutest one. You said crush.
Okay. Mine's Jason Momoa.
Who
So I
is
have that.
that?
Oh my God, Aquaman.
Who's Aquaman?
You don't know? Okay, Google Jason Momoa.
Oh, okay, I'll work on this.
He's mine. Well,
All right,
I
okay.
just want to thank you for being a fabulous guest and inspiring everybody because you've had hardships, but you don't let it set you back. You move forward every day. So I hope that this episode leaves everybody feeling empowered and just like they can take on the world.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Yay! All right, cheers. Wine Wednesday, guys. We'll see you next time.